On three, two, one. We are speaking with the one and only Gary Spivack. The new movie is called Long Live Rock. It talks about talks about rock. And I watched the movie. Great presentation, and it talks about the community that is rock. Talk to me about the importance of community in music, and because as you know, with what you do in branding, you always try to create a community, correct?
Yeah, Mitch, I'm really glad you kind of grabbed onto that theme because to me, that was the true kind of arc and kind of underlining connector of Long Live Rock of this movie is this community, this family, this spirit that connects the bands and the fans. I'll tell you one thing I wasn't interested in being a part of when approached about filming at our festivals was I don't want that some sort of like live concert movie. It gets boring. What I was interested in was the deep dive into the fandom and what makes this really misunderstood but very beloved genre of hard rock and metal tick. And what kept on coming back was this family spirit, this really effed up dysfunctional family that connects the audience and the bands. And we followed these fans around, and I'll tell you, God bless them, because as many people will go to Cancun. Sorry, I had to do that dig, or bungee jumping, or their lake house for the weekend. Instead of all that, they spend their hard-earned money on going to these festivals and meeting
Yep.
up.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, as I am too. And that's how they spend. That is their destination. That is their family vacation, is attending these rock festivals and being part of this family, this community, this tribe.
And what's amazing about rock shows, as I've covered them over the last 30 years, is the fact how the loyalty that is created. When you go to Wacken, when you go to Hellfest, when you go over to Europe, those fans aren't guys that just showed up last week and heard a single on the radio and decided to go see a show. They have been fans for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they never let go of these bands. It is something that you don't see almost in any other genre of music. Usually, you hear the new whatever top 10 single by the Bugles or by whatever, and then a week later you're liking something new. The Buggles, by the way, radio killed they're Buggles. You got to go old school. But talk to me a little bit about that and showing that on screen that there's also not only community but loyalty, and the bands that you featured, whether it's Duff or whether it's Lars, they've been exceptionally loyal to the fans. It's a two-way street.
Duff's one of my favorite lines he had was, "We're all in this together," and he said that in the film. And even during that interview, if there's ever like a weird director's cut, you'll hear Gary off camera going, "Hold up, stop tape. Could we change the name of this film? Because I love that we're all in this together." And because rock is like this other side of the tracks. We're like the uncool dudes and girls on the grassy knoll, while the hip preppy kids are at their lunch table and the jocks. We were the kids, going to the Rush concert and Black Sabbath and Zepp and staying loyal. While you're right, the flavor of the day would come and go. It's never been about that. It's always been the bastard stepchild. That's the ethos of rock, is like the stuff that your parents aren't supposed to like. So I found that in this film, and I find that Walk-In, Hellfest, great festivals.
Yeah.
Like Download and like, our Rock on the Range or Louder Than Life in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, those are great ones that I've never been to. I mean, in Montreal, we do Heavy Montreal, which unfortunately they've seemed to have ceased operation, but
yeah,
great, such great festival. All right, so one of the things that we see at the beginning of this is this rock is dead thing, which, is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. And I've compared it to this. I say that rock has sort of gone into the jazz realm. In the 1920s, it was the jazz age. Everybody talked jazz. But you go to radio, of course, there's no jazz playing. But then you go to the Montreal Jazz Festival or the Toronto Jazz Festival or the Dallas Jazz Festival. It just survives. And there's an underground fan base. Do you think that we've gotten there with rock, where rock is sort of the modern day jazz, where It'll never die. And when a festival pops up, it'll be full, but we won't hear it on top 40 radio.
I'm scared about the correlation of rock and roll to jazz. I get what you're saying, how jazz has this fan base forever. I like to think that rock is so much more because the net is so much bigger. You know, you could go Avenged Sevenfold and Slipknot, but then you can go in this very film Rise Against, you know, Greta Van Fleet.
In this moment, yeah.
So the net is bigger to me. So I hear you on the analogy, but I'm not lying if I wasn't gonna say that Gene Simmons didn't make us want to like puff our chest out and go, all right, Gene, you're wrong, and here's why. Long live rock, celebrate the chaos. I think this film captured how wrong he can be, because when there's 100,000 people going to Ohio to see Metallica and a bunch of other bands, sorry, it's not dead. It's just not the flavor of the moment. It's not this TikTok craze, or it's maybe not going to win Grammy Album of the Year, but it's vibrant, it's alive, and it's dedicated. It's not a short circuit.
It's not. So let me ask you then this, because these festivals do very well, and we've mentioned all the different festivals from Wacken to yours and all that. Why can't we translate that to radio and get radio programmers dedicating time and playing more, you know, Greta Van Fleet and Black Veil Brides and In This Moment? Where's the disconnect?
You know, I'm a song guy. You might be too. And at the end of the day, yes, songs win, and maybe I'm gonna support radio just for a second. Maybe there's been a lack of where's the Smells Like Teen Spirit in current rock. Maybe that's been lacking a little bit, but what isn't lacking is the energy and kind of the chaos that this genre brings that I don't think any other really does. Having said that, Greta, I think, has made a wonderful record. It's a heady record they made. It's not like 3 minutes radio nugget, but you gotta, you know, it is their, look, Pink Floyd made a tremendous amount of records. They made a record called Metal, which is one of my favorites, yet there's not really like radio smashes on it. So there is the disconnect. I would ask radio to challenge themselves just a little bit more, because the bands are there. It's such low-hanging fruit to go and take a 3-minute pop song and have it be so disposable and faceless.
Yeah. Listen, I personally think that some of the best rock music has been created in the last 10 years. Unfortunately, it seems to all be coming from the UK. I mean, FM, a band out of the UK, has had great records the last 10 years. Thunder, they have a new record coming out. They've been great for the last 10 years.
I'm going. Who else do you see that maybe, you know,
from the UK? Listen, you've got Thunder. You've got The Treatment. I just spoke to the guys in The Treatment. Great band. They opened up years ago for Kiss and Motley Crue. They were managed by Larry Mazer. They have a new album coming out in a week or two that I've heard. It's fantastic. I mean, there's hit singles after hit singles on this thing, and nobody here is going to talk about it. I mean, I do, but nobody else. There's a band in the UK called Cats in Space. The name is somewhat ridiculous, but the music, it goes from Queen to Led Zeppelin to Cats in Space to UK, Inglorious, a band out of the UK with a guy named Nathan James. Nathan sang for TSO for many years. Band's phenomenal. Their new album, I'm forgetting the name of it. Blue cover. Anyway, great stuff. And it's too bad that we're not seeing that kind of renouveau from Canadian bands and American bands. You know, I go out to shows in Montreal and Honeymoon Suite comes in and the Killer Dwarfs comes in and all the, and you just go, come on, where are these other guys? Bring them in. But it's too expensive, you know.
Cats in Space could be a bad name for a band until it's not. Foo Fighters is like a horrible name.
Right. But Cats in Space has a great thing. They created a cat with a helmet, like a space helmet, as a logo. And as soon as you see that logo, you go, oh, and you see it on a t-shirt and you go, I want to wear that t-shirt to the gym. I want that. So, those are bands to look for. In terms of the new stuff, because you brought in Machine Gun Kelly in there, which my 17-year-old daughter loves, which I'm surprised. You also brought in Post Malone, which I found interesting because you mentioned him right at the end of the movie. He really is a crossover. He really is somebody that I could see at a Wacken, but also I could see at the AMAs. Like, talk to me about some of those new guys that have that possibility to maybe play to both markets and keep Long Live Rock going and maybe bring in a new audience by bringing it to the 17-year-olds like my daughter.
Yeah, no, there's definitely this, everybody likes to label things, right? This kind of new pop punk explosion with Machine Gun Kelly and Youngblood and Grandson and Black Bear. I'm all about it. God, it's great. I mean, you talk about Post Malone and Machine Gun Kelly. Those are guys that will be the first to tell you that they grew up doing this. They're rockers. And they were, smart enough to maybe have a style of music that wasn't straight ahead Marshall amps and long hair. But so they created their own modern take. I applaud them. But Post Malone will be the first to tell you that if Metallica comes to and he's in town, he's gonna go see him because he's a rock fan, and that's what I've learned. It's all these guys and country artists.
Yeah.
The country acts are.
Hey, Garth Brooks, Luke Bryan, and Keith Urban have all stolen from the Kisses and Aerosmiths of this world.
Oh my
God!
You go to one of their shows, total rock theme show. From the house lights to the smoke to the strobe. Yes. 100%.
Yes, I mean even Tom Weber, who's Eddie Van Halen's guitar tech or was, works with Reba McEntire. So they want those rock guys on the team because they know how you. In fact, talk to me a little bit about that because you're into shows and stuff. Talk to me about the importance of a show and having that presentation with the lights, with the the fireworks and all that, the pyro, I should say, and not just 3 guys that come out or 4 guys that come out and stare at their shoes for half an hour.
Yeah, that's a great question. If Long Live Rock the movie is taught I hope everybody listening and watching sees it, is it really captures the energy and the mayhem and the chaos of what a great rock show is. And it's right. It's not 4 people just walking on stage and going through the motions. It's that energy that they bring as entertainers. And fans, the crowd feeds off it, and the bands feed off the crowd energy, and it makes for this tribal. It's effing beautiful. I just the only way to describe it is watch it in the film, because it is captured. It is the chaos is captured in it, and I miss it so much. And while we're all waiting for the clouds to part and
while we're on pause,
right,
our 2 weeks of To Crash the Curve that's been 50.
I like to think that Long Live Rock is part of this relief package.
It is. By the way, I was looking it up real quick. Inglorious, the new album from 2021 is We Will Ride. It is a masterpiece. But
good tip.
We need to get those. Let me ask you just real quick then. You look at some of the bands we've talked about and some of the bands featured in the movie. Rob Zombie, Metallica, we've talked about Ozzy and some of these other ones. Without being rude, they've got like a 5 to 7 year shelf life, and then they'll probably retire. Who's going to come in? Who's going to start headlining those festivals and keeping Long Live Rock alive after they go out? Who are the guys waiting in the wings? Because once Metallica's gone, that's 50,000 fans a night. That just, who's the next band that brings them in?
Yeah, I know you always worry about that, especially as a promoter, but there are bands that are ready to take the mantle. Five Finger Death Punch, is one that just continues. Again, there's no American Idol. There's no America's Got Talent short circuit to fame in rock and roll, in my opinion. Five Finger's been doing this, they were a side stage band when we first booked them. Halestorm.
Yeah. Hey, listen, when I first met Jason Hook, he was playing with Hilary Duff
okay.
at a showcase in Toronto. So, they made it. So you think that Five Finger Death Punch.
Greta, you know, there. I would say Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Day to Remember. There's a band out of the UK called Architects that are on the Verge Parkway Drive.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting.
Oh, Palais Royale. Since you're
Look, I'm not sitting here telling you that they're going to take Metallica's mantle, but there's growth. There is bands on the rise. That is encouraging to me.
It is. So in terms of this movie, what are the plans? Is it a theatrical release or is it straight to home video? How are fans going to be able to see it?
Yeah, so there's this great kind of red carpet online premiere starting. It's March 11 for $9.99, and there's a Q&A after that has Lizzie of Halestorm and Jacoby of Papa Roach and Miles Kennedy, one of the truest, purest rock singers out there, and the Q&A after. That's March 11. Then March 12. It's all there on longliverockmovie.com, longliverockmovie.com, where you can purchase and watch it in your home. And then we are finalizing our deal to go video on demand. We're not going to go theatrical right now, though this movie does scream, you know, loud and big screen. But people at home, just turn it up, because we'll have that longliverockmovie.com, and then go right to on demand shortly after.
Yeah, which is, listen, I'm older now. I appreciate that. Having to get out of my house and go to the cinema gets a little bit annoying, but I do love my rock shows. I go to, 100 a year. Just real quick, in terms of the pandemic, and we've been on pause, when do you see things sort of opening up? And with Mississippi and Texas and Florida and some other states fully open, do you run the risk, and how devastating will it be to get sort of tour insurance? Can you function at this point, or are we still sort of like, eh?
I am cautiously optimistic about the late summer and fall. We finally have a national program. We finally have an administration that seems to care about national and getting a vaccine. Sounds weird, but needles and arms. Let's get this vaccine to every American and every North American. I feel we're going to have shows. Again, I feel late summer, fall. I can't speak about indoor shows, but outdoor, I think it's looking good. In the meantime, this movie, again, is like this, could help ease the pain.
Fills the void. I know.
Yeah, it really does. It's like this, this, again, it's part of the relief package. So if you're jonesing for mass gatherings, shoulder to shoulder, sweaty, beers on you, Long Live Rock can help you on that.
Long Live Rock can help you. Yeah. And I'll finish on this. You do, of course, mention the wall of death and the mosh pitting and all that. Again, it's a very unique thing to metal. And when you go to a show and you see these people say, all right, spread apart, and then everybody, just talk to me about capturing that and that spirit, and the fact that fans, even though they do what looks to be ridiculously stupid things, are doing it sort of lovingly. And I know it sounds silly to say, but it kind of is.
Have you? I'll turn the tables. Have you ever been in a wall of death?
I have seen it form and gotten the fuck out of there.
All right, that's maybe why you're still here. No, yeah, there's a misconception about moshing, crowd surfing, wall of death. It's really family in there. There's one of the great famous mottos: if you see somebody down, pick them up.
Yep, that's it goes.
And it's a way of really getting your aggression out. It's a release. There's some harmony to it. You talk to some people about hard rock and metal, and they say it calms them, while you think to typical ear it makes them more violent. It's a calming, like, release. So I will tell you, having been a part of moshing, I find it like how people get off on river rafting or bungee jumping again. It's this great release, and there's a family dynamic in it.
There absolutely is. It really is. And it is a great release. And when you're stressed out and then you just hear those aggressive guitars, It soothes. It's I know it's counterintuitive, but it soothes because you're just like, oh yeah, play it, Shanker, play it. You know,
Well, not to quote Shrek, but better out than in.
that is correct. Gary, an
Yeah,
absolute
there you
pleasure. Long live rock. The movie. It is coming out shortly here in March, and there you go. Merci beaucoup, as we say in Montreal, and hopefully, if Heavy Montreal comes back, you'll come on over and we'll say hello.
Oh yeah, Mitch, thank you for supporting the movie and for waving that rock flag. Thank
Been
you.
many years. Absolute pleasure. Merci, monsieur.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Bye bye now.